This is Kathy from GadgetStop321, and in today's video I'm going to give an update of my Penbbs 308. Now I've been using this for a few months, and this is my really ideal style of pen. Recently I've become a big fan of the cigar shaped pens. I enjoy using fine nibs, and Penbbs is known for having smooth fine nibs. But, well, when I inked this up for the first time, I inked it up with the Roshizuku Momiji, and this is typically what would happen. It looks like a hard start here, but what this really is stingy ink flow. I would realize after the first letter and then have to slow way down to get a consistent line. And so the second time I inked it up, I used Sailor Gentle Black, which has helped in some of my pens that I have ink flow issues, but I think it's worse in this pen. I'll do a little writing sample. This is my Leuchtturm. And so you see, it's not just on the first P. Yeah. So I have some number 6 size nibs that I can switch out with this, but the pin housing, or the nib housing that this is in, I can screw out the whole nib unit, but I can't get the nib out of the housing. So I ordered from Penbbs one of the little parts kits, and they come with little nib sleeves. I'm just calling these parts. I don't know if that's the real name of the parts. Actually, let me see something real quick. I wrote on this Leuchtturm paper. Let me try this smoother Marmon paper real quick before I change nibs. No, not any better. Well, let me see. No. Yeah, still skips. So, I ordered this from Bobby Pin, and he included a spare number 6 nib. It's a two-tone nib, but it's where this is the it's ground, has a slight, looks like it has an upturn to it. This is just a regular, looks like a medium nib. It doesn't have the size on it. Let me scoot this out of the way. And so I could take the nib unit, I could screw the nib unit out, but I couldn't get the nib out of that little housing. So I ordered the parts, and it includes some spare convertors, which reminds me, I had a converter leak. It seemed to leak between ink seemed to come out between this little black piece and the clear part of the converter. It did that with the Iroshizuku Momiji, but it hasn't with the Sailor Gentle Black. So I'm not sure what the issue was there. I looked at it, the converter under the loop, and it didn't appear to have a crack in it. It did have, it looked like a little piece chipped out of the plastic near the lip, but it didn't look like any place where it would affect the seal. But I don't know. But now I've got some spares in case that issue ever happens again. But I've already put that spare nib into one of these little nib housings, and it came with some spare feeds and the little O-rings. Let's see, is it still on there? It must have popped off. I don't want to get ink all over myself. I will put an O-ring on there later if this ends up working. But let's go ahead. I'm going to switch out. I'm going to try this two-tone nib. Just set that over there. I guess I better take it out of the section. And there's where that other O-ring would go. Let's see. And this looks like a medium nib. It's not marked. I'm going to pause the video for just a second while I get the ink flowing. Okay, this is the two-tone spare nib, and actually let me see how well this fits in here. I didn't really pay attention. It looks like, yes, there's just, wow, there's like a hair's space for maybe a piece of paper, a width of a piece of paper to fit between the nib and the cap. So if you switch out nibs, you be careful putting the cap on for the first time. I had heard that, but failed to check. Okay, let's see how this nib writes. Oh, wow. Okay, for someone who likes fine nibs, this appears to be a little bit too broad for me. Yeah, that's a lot of ink. And it still had the hard start there at the beginning. Oh, wow. So, that's a lot of ink. Okay. And it didn't look like a broad nib. So, that's just putting down a lot of ink. Okay. Well, I also have a Nemesign 0.6 stub, a spare that I put in one of the new nib housings. So give me just a minute. I'm going to switch this out for the Nemesign nib and see if it performs any better. Okay, I've installed the Nemesign nib, and again, wow, it just almost touches that metal piece inside the cap. So, but they do both fit. And so this is, well, okay. And that looks not too bad. It's a little bit broader and a little bit wetter than I prefer, but I think with a different ink, I just don't prefer really broad nibs when I'm using a dark black ink. Yeah, decent wetness. Okay. So on that spare nib, I'm not sure if maybe it's the feed that's too wet or the actual, that's the original. Yeah, it looks like I didn't check it very closely before I installed it. Maybe the tines are spread apart a bit too much. Maybe I could work on that and dry it up a little bit. But this is okay. This is decently good news because I am a fan of this stub nib, just not paired with this ink. It does appear that it dries out. You know, you can't just sit here with the cap off for very long. But it is smooth with a more colorful, vibrant ink. I think I would like it better. And I am a big fan of this. As far as stub nib goes, I do like this 0.6 stub. Let me put the lid on for just a second and see if it happens to hard start again. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, I do like the material that this pen is made out of. It doesn't, the plastic does not feel thin or fragile, and it is pretty durable. I bought this pen to use at school, and I wear my pens clipped on my lanyard that I wear around my neck, and it had come unscrewed, and it fell and hit the tile floor hard. I was worried, and you know, not a scratch on it. I've checked it over well. So the material is very durable, and it feels good. It's grippy, feels good in the hand, and there are so many color options and different patterns to the material. You can get opaque or translucent. There are just so many options. Let's give this one more try. Not bad, a little hesitation there. yeah, no problem with the ink flow now. Okay, I think I'm going to leave this nib in this pen for now. And I have seen other YouTubers work on the original nib and just open up the tines a little bit and get the ink flowing. So now I am satisfied. It's probably not the feed, because I'm sure this feed is the same as the ones they've included in this parts kit. So it's probably not the feed, it probably is the nib. So that's something that can be fixed. So if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you would like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.